Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Getting Chicked. My name's Karen Lesowitz, and I'm here for another episode with Megan Connolly, Rachel D'Adamio. We're three, I almost said four. That's just my ego talking. We are three former collegiate runners who just can't hang up the shoes, and we want to talk about all things running related, and we're so glad that you're tuning in for another episode to join us.
Yeah, we're super excited to chat running today. Before we get into like news and kind of random topics, we have something we need to talk about, which is that Megan raced again. She can't stop.
I am addicted to running races. At this point, I'm running races for content. No, I'm just
Megan, you are upholding the sub-elite of like this whole energy right
you're
now.
Carrying all the weight.
You guys, I mean, we had to have somebody run a race. So I took one for the team and I said,
I'm not gonna do it.
I will do a downhill mile for all of you.
Okay, but Megan, marathon and mile. Like what shape are you in?
Well, I did the marathon and I took 2 weeks where I didn't do a thing. Like my activity log, my watch is like declining. You know what it tells you? Like your fitness, if you're like maintaining your fitness, if you're exceeding your fitness, or you're declining. Mine was all declining. And,
okay, you're making this worse though, because let's get to how you did, and you're setting this up for me to be even more upset
I just
want
to set the record straight. It was a downhill mile, which I was like a little self-conscious about running because I was like, guys, this doesn't even really count, does it? But I haven't raced a mile in a really, really, really long time. And I was like coming off a marathon. I really want to focus on speed this summer. It is the summer of speed. We are going to make that, little TM next to it. Summer of speed. I want to start doing some faster stuff, get back on the track. And what a way to kick it off with this downhill mile. I had told my coach when I was marathon training that sometime this summer I would love to break 5. And I don't even care if I like do it at a local track with some high school boy pacing me. I just haven't broken 5 in such a long time that I wanted to do it again. And she was like, well, why don't you do the downhill mile? I'm like, it's 2 weeks after the marathon. I don't know if I could do it. But the legs came around. My calves killed all week because I feel like when you stop running and then all of a sudden start again, you just have that like your calves are screaming at you with every step that you
take. Like the lactic acid that I think didn't have time to shake out because you've just stagnated and you've stopped everything, and then it's coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, so I was on the track. I did some like 200s on Wednesday before the race. Nothing crazy. And then Friday, doing my easy run and striders pre-race, I was like, oh boy, they don't really feel that good. I'm just hoping I wake up and they feel better. And they did. I woke up Saturday and my warm-up, everything felt great. The only problem was in this downhill mile, it was raining really. It wasn't like, I don't want to say it was downpouring, but it was raining significantly.
Yeah. Did it feel epic, a little epic at least? Or was it like that just like absolutely demoralizing rain where there's no
It felt
pride?
Epic. I think it was epic. Yeah, It was epic. It wasn't like the kind of rain where you're just like, I don't want to run, get me back in my car. It was like, I can run through this, but super shoes, downhill, running fast. I was very concerned. Yeah, I was like, oh no, I don't want to roll down this hill. My watch said we dropped like 100 feet. So it was kind of like the race started, we went down, we flattened out, we went a little up, and then we were down right to the finish. And, my new whole motto in running is I'm learning from my past. And so I'm not going out too fast, which is something that I love to do all the time. So I was like, I'm not taking this thing out too fast. So I took it out and was in like 6th place. And then at the half, I passed 2 people to move into 4th place. And I thought I was going to be able to get 3rd. And right at the end, with it being wet and the final downhill, I kind of like almost had to put the brakes on. But I did get in under 5. I was 4:52. 4th overall. So it was a good day. I was happy with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's with all of those advantages you just mentioned. I mean, your body did that, even
you
with
did
everything.
move 1 mile in 4 minutes and 52 seconds.
Well, now I want to do it on a track. I'm like, anybody else want to head out to the track? I told you guys before, I was like, I think I'm kind of in like 5:02 shape. So I think like given everything, 4:52, 5:02, I think I'm right there. I'm flirting with the sub 5.
I also love that because only true runners know, like they're like, no, I'm not in 5:05 shape. I'm in 5:02 shape. Like there's such a difference, and we know that nuance. We know that feeling.
It is. I mean, that is like one of my favorite things about doing track workouts, like being able to feel the difference between 80-second 400s and 90-second 400s and like just feeling pace. That's how you know you're in a good spot when you can
That's
feel
like
pace.
marathon fit. You know exactly what pace you're running.
Yeah, but it was really fun. I'm like trying my best to just like embrace some of these local road races. And I think that's like one of the really fun parts about running is like getting out there with the community and stuff. So that was awesome. I mean, shout outs to the ladies that kicked butt. I mean, we had a couple of, in my running group, a couple of girls who ran Boston who were running it in this race. And the girl who won just looked so strong and so fast. But it was definitely weird to cross the finish line and being like, wait, that's it? Like, I'm used to doing 26.2 of these, and now I'm just done. Anybody want to do it again? So, but yeah, really fun. And I'm like looking at my workouts for the week. I'm getting back on the track and doing some things that hurt in a whole different way.
Okay, well, you just mentioned Boston, though. Isn't Boston a net downhill as well?
Boston is a net downhill, but Boston is very hard. I mean, it says, it is net down. That is factually accurate. But for anybody who's run Boston, you know that is very deceiving because the way the course is laid out and where the hills are positioned.
And we all know that the Boston Marathon is longer than the LA Marathon. So there's that as well.
There's this TikTok trend. Karen's right.
Can you tell I'm in with I'm deep in it.
Well, it does crack me up because so many people are like, oh, how far was this marathon that you ran?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're all 20.
But to be fair, mentally, sometimes I'm like, that one was a little bit longer.
Well, listen, if you don't run the tangents right, it definitely can be longer.
Oh, so true. There's nothing like crossing the finish line to any road race and being like, I know this was measured to a USATF certification and this is coming out to be like 0.2 longer. I didn't run those tangents. But talking about the Boston Marathon, it is net down. So your race downhill, right? Net downhill. Mm-hmm. You did amazing. Advantage. Boston, net downhill. Don't get that advantage. Can we talk about at what point, what race, right? Do you stop getting the advantage of the downhill then? Like, I
heard there's a really good marathon in New Hampshire that's like net down and supposed to be like crazy fast. I know like the Mesa half marathon is down. And
yes, I ran that
very fast. Some people are like, oh, flat courses are actually harder because you stay in the same muscle group. And I think there's something to be said about that. Like I remember running Chicago and being like, oh, it would be really nice to get a little roll here every now and then. But
then you hit Columbus Drive and you were like, it's all over. Did you find that, Rachel, with Mesa? Did you find that it was because it was flat,
definitely a net downhill? Yeah. The last mile is like kind of straight downhill. So I originally was going to say the 5K is like the break-even point. I think a net downhill and anything like below a 5K is an advantage. And then after a 5K, so 10K and above is not an advantage. But I will say running Mesa, it's like nice. It's a nice net downhill. Because also it's not, I think what's killer about Boston is you're running uphill. You're like working your legs really hard. And then by the time you get the downhills, it's like killing your quads.
Yeah.
And so I've heard of people training like downhill, how to run downhill for Boston.
Boston is tough because, I mean, I don't want to say you're fully down for the first 16 because you do have some rollers in there. But for the most part, the first 16 miles you're kind of going down. And then you have like 5 miles of gradual uphill before you go down again. So it's like you destroy your quads and then you go up and then you try to run downhill on destroyed quads and exhaustion from running up.
Oh my God. Think about
you
training
want to do
for
Boston, so good luck.
Yeah. I was going to say, so anyway, when does that Boston entry open? I'm regretting thinking of signing up for that.
Oh man, you guys are running New York. Just wait till you get to mile 23. That's where I'm going to stand for you. I'm going to stand at mile 23 for you and cheer you on that awful uphill.
You're going to get some humbling pictures.
Yeah, please.
I won't share the ones on the down because I'm a good friend.
Well, anyway, great job in your race, Megan.
Thanks.
And
guys.
Not to take away from your accomplishment, but my dad and I had this joke in high school that like if someone ran a super fast time or said their PR was really fast and we like were skeptical, we would always say like, oh, they probably ran that at the downhill wind at your back relays. So
listen, I'm not considering it a PR, but I like, I get it. It was a downhill mile. It doesn't totally count. But you know what? Being out there racing is fun. And I'm not going to say
Yes.
that 4:52 is my PR, but I am going to say that I'm a sub 5 miler.
Okay.
I also think, though,
Love it.
post-collegiately, you've got to factor in so many conversions. You know what I mean? I think we've joked about this before, but like I was this is a little TMI, but I got myself very worked up this past winter, and I did for the second time in my life, guys, my classic superpower, and that is in stress-induced shingles. I have the power to do that to myself, and I unfortunately fell victim to that again. And I was working out on the track, and it was that week I kind of just I thought I could push through it, and my friend turned to me and goes, because I said I was upset with my workout, didn't go well, and she goes, for your shingles conversion, you did pretty well. I think we all need post-collegiate, like actual real life crap conversions.
I agree. I think there could be so many. I mean, I have to wear high heels for work all the time. And so I think like doing a track workout the day after wearing heels for 8 hours would be a good conversion.
There you go. There's like the arch support heel conversion. Yeah, that is at least a few seconds, right?
I think so too. I think shingles is at least 10 to 15.
Well, think for 400 meters, right? That's what I was doing. That was what I was factoring in. For the
10 to 15 per mile, right? For shingles? I mean, I've never had shingles, but I imagine it's very hard to deal with.
I want to be clear, though. I am very weak when it comes to using these things as excuses. So for me, I would say at least. You know what I mean? At least. I was milking it. Like I probably could have even gone harder, but I was like, but I don't feel good. And then I pulled back a little bit. So for me, I think there's an emotional factor that we need to play in. How emotionally equipped are you to handle what you're going through? And mine was low. So that was where I was at. But
Rachel, what's your conversion factor? Karen has shingles. I have high heels. What do you got?
Oh my gosh. This is like, I don't know.
Oh, Rachel, yours would, I feel like there's, like life stresses. I feel like things that come in,
Sure.
When you traveled to Chicago and ran the marathon.
Oh, that was yes, I did deserve a conversion for that. The post-Oktoberfest marathon conversion.
Oh my God. Post-Oktoberfest. Anytime there's a big life event, I feel like you come home from a trip, you're moving in with another roommate, you go through a breakup, whatever an emotional stress is. I think that's 100% a conversion factor.
Yeah. Having 3 roommates conversion factor.
There you go. Oh my God. Well, I think some news, ladies, that came up this week and even today, depending on when this podcast comes out, maybe a few days prior to when you're listening to this, we've had some unfortunate news come out specifically in the steeplechase for women's professional running in the last few weeks. Most notably today, who I wish we could give a conversion injury factor for and have her still go to Paris, is Courtney Frerichs. So sad.
She tore her ACL in a freak incident. This is something that Courtney has done so many times, and unfortunately hyperextended her knee. She did tear her ACL. She's had surgery to repair it, and she will be out for the remainder of the track season, which also means, unfortunately, missing the trials and the Olympics. And that is now 2 American steeplechasers that are out of the field. You really hate to see that any year, but especially an Olympic year, right, Rachel?
Yes, this is this really blows the steeplechase kind of wide open when you think about the team that they sent in, and it really underscores how dangerous the steeplechase is in some ways. I don't think we appreciate it that much when we watch, and these women make it look so easy. But when we think about the 2021 Olympic team, so we have Emma Coburn, who's out with a broken ankle. We have Courtney Frerichs out with an ACL and I think meniscal tear. I think she did both. And then we have Val Constein, who she is competing in the trials, but about a year ago, she tore her ACL at the Doha Diamond League steeplechase. And so she's fully back and recovered. And CITIUS did a really good podcast with her. So plug for that. But it's 3 for 3 of huge injuries that they got while doing the steeplechase, impact injuries, not overuse injuries.
It's
feel like
so
it's
hard to see. And
well,
like I have been really inspired though, and we just saw the news earlier today. We're recording this podcast on a Sunday, but we just saw Courtney's news. We talked about Emma on our last podcast, and I have to say I've been so inspired watching her social media over the past couple of weeks. I mean, this girl is getting after it. She is not letting this injury define her. She is motivated, and she's doing everything she can to come back stronger than ever. I think that she really will. It just sucks in an Olympic year. But I mean, the positive news for a lot of the other steeplers out there and people who are trying to make Team USA is there are some spots. I mean, I don't want to say those spots were locked up, but Emma and Courtney were really up there. And, someone who's been another fun comeback story to watch is Allie O. I saw her competing just a couple weeks ago at Sound Running, and she's been through so much in her running career. So I love to see some of the other athletes kind of get some recognition, but you hate to see it happen because of an injury.
Yeah, something that I think could be cool is like while we're watching steeplechase, obviously we want it to be about those who are competing in it, and that's really exciting. But I think what would be kind of cool is like how other sports have these call outs at the bottom of the screen that's like X athlete out for like an ACL tear, this athlete out for a broken ankle. Like I think it'd be cool if they could put that on the screen to kind of like show just how hard the steeplechase is on your body and like underscore how hard track and field can be. I know that they do that in like the NBA, NFL.
Oh, for sure. Give full context to the situation of like, hey, yes, this is, a major meet. We're competing for spots on the team. But here's like the gravity of the whole situation. Here's who's out. Here's, maybe the underdogs rising up. I am someone who's just a absolute fearless fan and like lifelong fan of Colleen Quigley. And I know she's someone who has, had ups and downs, especially in the sport. She's even gone over to triathlons just because, she's been swimming and biking so much. She tried her hand there, and she is someone that I am always rooting for to show up and just, punch her ticket and make her mark. I do think with Courtney and Emma out, I mean, I know she's had some injuries in the past. In my opinion, even a 50% Colleen Quigley is making this team. So I hope
that's a bold claim.
Even if, and I don't know the nature of her injury, of course, I hope it's something that, isn't serious. But even if I think she's 50%, she lines up, she's getting a spot. I think she's that talented. I think she is that remarkable of an athlete.
I absolutely love it. I also think, like, to your point, Rachel, Emma and Courtney, they're not going to be able to compete. They're both legends. Put one of them in the booth. Have them be an analyst about
I love that.
Have them talk about the race. Like, nobody knows how to better prepare for an Olympic Games in the steeplechase than these two women. I would love to hear their insight, and I would love to hear them break down the race because, running for people who aren't fans of, the distances or track, it's like the story of the race is in the splits and the story of the race is in the strategy. But a lot of casual fans, they may just watch and go, oh, they're just running. But there's so much more going on. And I would love to hear it from the perspective of an Emma or a Courtney.
Would love to hear it. My only devil's advocate is personally, God, that would be so hard to have given up being in that race and then analyzing it, even though do I think these women are emotionally capable of doing that? Yes. Me personally, no. I think I would be sobbing behind the deck. Like
that's what sets us apart from them.
Yeah. That's why I'm not competing, but
yeah, I totally hear that. And if that was a reason, if either of them were even offered it and they didn't want to do it, I would understand that and respect it. I do think it can help grow the sport in such a awesome way. All about growing the sport.
Oh, and we've seen the sport grow even this past weekend. Did we tune in to all of these races happening? I feel like left and right, we've had records broken.
It's like such an exciting time right now in track and field. I mean, we all follow whether it's Olympic year or not, but with it being an Olympic year, there are just so many more eyeballs on the competition and everything means more because the trials right around the corner. Everybody's got to get their qualifying time. So I feel like every weekend, we have the Grand Prix, we had Sound Running, we had ACC's, SEC's conference championships. We had all of that going on. We got Prefontaine Classic, we got NCAA regionals and national championships. Like, this is our time, and it all will culminate in the Olympics. I am in runner nerd heaven.
Seriously. And my thing is, yes, I love the excitement when the Olympics show up. I just was on TikTok the other day and I saw Simone Biles, run out to the floor routine of a Taylor Swift song and the whole crowd went wild. And I was like, oh yeah, gymnastics exists. That's right. And I hate that though, is that I only remember it exists when it's an Olympic year and I see that roll around. And so for me, that's not necessarily the truth for any of us, maybe in track and field. We're paying a little bit more attention to it on a daily, weekly basis. I think something we could use, guys, that we just saw maybe in the women's WNBA is a walkout, right?
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. So I actually attended a WNBA game this past weekend. And I love
which one?
love this effort by, it seems like, everybody to just get behind women's sports, right? Like we are all in on it. And as a society, I think we've just decided it is time to start supporting these amazing women. The sport still has a long way to grow to catch up with the NBA, but I mean, it's off to a great start. I was at the Liberty against the Fever game just the other day and just yesterday. And I'm telling you, the
Caitlin Clark game?
Caitlin Clark versus the New York Liberty. And, I want to give a shout out to the Liberty girls too, because Sabrina Ionesco, she walked so Caitlin could run. And Brianna Stewart, she walked so Sabrina could run so that Caitlin Clark could do what she's doing. So, I mean, there's been a long list of women who have been responsible for this growth of the game, but I think we've all been captivated by Caitlin, and that's helped it grow even more. But the WNBA season kicked off this past week, and Karen's talking about these walk-ups, and we are talking about arrival shots. When the athletes arrive to the arena, this is their moment. They get to wear whatever they want and show you a little bit of their personality and a little bit of their style. Did you guys see this video?
Yes, I love it. I think it's awesome, and I think we need that in track and field. I would love to see everybody's fashion sense. I bet we'd have some crazy, amazing outfits for track and field. So I hope we can get it.
You see them, and when they're in their uniforms and they're on the court and they have the hair in the ponytail or however they decide to wear their hair, they all, it's hard to tell what their personalities are. And now all of a sudden we have players walk in. We have crop tops. We have oversized jackets. We have hats. We have accessories. And I say, oh, I like her outfit. Oh, I love her shoes. Oh, yes, I feel you. I mean, Cameron Brink right now, she plays for the Los Angeles Sparks. She just did a full-on photo shoot with Skims. I was drooling. She is one of my new girl crushes. I love this woman. And not only that, but she is a baller on the court. So I love seeing these different athletes represented. I think we could have some pretty sick walk-ups, pretty sick arrival shots.
Yeah. Oh, I want Cole Walliser to show up with the glam bot. I want to see next level Met Gala vibes here. And I think the only issue, guys, we may run into with track and field, right, is you've got, say in the WNBA, we got these women showing up in these, head to toe, whatever it is. I'm going to, is it Gucci? Is it designer? Then they go into a private locker room where they can get their game face on.
Yep.
My fear is what's going to happen in track and field is, you've got Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone showing up head to toe in her designer. And then she's got to head into a porta potty or worse, a public bathroom and be like, excuse me, sorry, someone's in here. That's my fear, I think, is that the energy is going to kind of come crumbling down after they arrive.
It is crazy how track and field athletes are using porta potties to, for pre-meet, I think we need a private
just
locker room
us.
For them, right? We got to have the arrivals. We want the arrival shot. Let's get them in a locker room, allow them to change. I don't know how that works, but if we remove the porta potty element and add sort of a locker room situation, maybe it could work. I don't know how you
I think it could work.
This, but I'm here to explore.
Something exclusive. There's just no reason I should be in the same public bathroom, as whoever. I just think it's a little, I think it takes away from maybe the prestige of the sport because we are so accessible. And that's something I think specifically with distance runners, it's who is playing, a pickup game of basketball weekly or daily. Not many people. Who's out there on the path running every day and doing a similar activity that these pros are doing? Runners. There's just so many of us out there. I think it's a very relatable sport. I think it's a sport that people relate themselves to, but I think there needs to be a huge defining cutoff in like the prestige and respect that these top 0.1% athletes get at these huge meets.
I think it's cool too with these, like, if you think about it, like track and field, there's so many different like athleisure brands, and not even that, there's just like brands out there. And as the sport grows, like, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, she could be an entrance advertisement at the Olympics for whatever it may be, whether it's Nike or Chanel or Louis Vuitton or whatever it is, right? Like her arrival, she has a full-on Louis Vuitton outfit walking into the Olympics. Like, she's walking out with the gold. And then me, the degenerate gambler of the fans, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm betting that everything on her because I saw her walk in. You got to take that into consideration.
Definitely. What were, I don't know if you guys caught some of the performances this weekend. Did you guys have any favorites?
Rach?
Ooh, I would say Sydney coming out running the 200, her first 200 since 2018, I think, after she had her own knee injury that kind of took her out last summer. We got to see Femke Bol absolutely like tear up the world championships, win the 400 meter hurdles. I think she's watching Sydney in this 200 and being like, oh, I wonder what she's thinking when she saw Sydney absolutely tear up the 200, basically be the fastest that she's ever been. I'm excited to see her run the hurdles. And it's not every day that we get to see Sydney run. She's a little bit more like, chooses when she's going to race. She's very like, she's very
like
choiceful
Kawhi
when
Leonard,
she comes
right?
out in the track. Yeah.
Like Kawhi Leonard. We might not see him play all the time, but when he does, he makes an impact, right?
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to pretend I knew exactly what that reference was. Yeah, it's just like that.
It's absolutely just like Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, she is. She's like the girl in high school who you knew was going to make the win state title, and she did the prelims and trainers. You know what I mean? She doesn't need to, or she's not doing anything until the conference meet, type of vibe, I think. They're saving her. She doesn't need to race her way into shape. She is shape, and shape needs to race their way into her. That's my analogy. But Sydney was great in her post-race interview. I mean, one of the interviewers said, do you think you're the speediest you've ever been? And she just goes, yeah, I do. I think I'm actually the fastest I've ever been right now. And I just was like, mic drop, everyone better kind of watch out and place their bets.
She doesn't even run the 200, and she dominated the field.
Yeah, I think she ran the number 2 time in the world this year.
And she was like, I was really hoping for 21.99. I was like, oh.
Hoping to sneak under. Who did not sneak under, but sneak past was Hobbs Kessler in the 800 meter run, guys. It was my favorite recap to watch just when I was checking back, but he kind of barrel dosed his way down the last 80 meters of the home stretch. And even in his post-race interview, to be fair, he was like, look, I'm not proud of it. But I mean, I think when you're the fittest guy out there and you are at a level where you're going to surpass in the way he did, personally, I think there's some leeway. He clearly is super fit right now and got to that line, I think, in record time, just elbows out, kind of barrel dozing down. But
what was his last 100 meter split? Wasn't it something insane?
Oh, I actually don't know that, but from my eye just watching, very fast. That's what I would.
Yeah, I mean, and it looked like he was boxed in too, and then just needed to do anything and everything he could. And at the end, I think I saw his post-race interview, and he was like, "Listen, if I got disqualified, that's okay. I feel really good about the time I ran today."
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think. Okay.
No, you.
I think.
What?
I forgot.
I was gonna say, guys, he ran an 800 meter run, right? And he's a 1500 guy, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's him, it's gonna be Cole Hawker, and our guy Yard Nagoose, I think, locked in for that top 3 solidified spot for the Olympics. So I'm almost thinking, like, does he dabble in the 8? Because clearly that fitness is there. But to me, the question is, if one of those three guys chooses not to compete or go, I mean, I can't imagine why, or if something happens, where's that third spot? And my bet is on Matthew CITIUS, because he came in hot right behind Hobbs Kessler in that, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. He was not in the 800-meter run. He was in the 1,500-meter run, but closed in a similar way that Hobbs Kessler did. And I think he got, he went from like maybe 6th or 7th off the turn to 3rd coming down the home stretch, which was incredible. I think he's got that experience strength, you know, that's gonna possibly make an Olympic team this year.
Yeah, I love watching Matt CITIUS on his like final hurrah on the track. And I think when you think about like Matt CITIUS and Hobbs Kessler, I think what the 800 showed more than anything about Hobbs is his like age. He's younger, he's like scrappier, he doesn't know like the race dynamics as well. That could not be further from the truth for Matt CITIUS. Like, no one has done this as many times as he has. So I think when you go into the rounds and you put someone like Matt against Hobbs, like Hobbs is probably like maybe a little bit fitter, has like a higher ceiling for how fast he can run. But like Matt knows how to do the rounds. So I think that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew CITIUS like breaks open what we think is like a locked in top 3.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
And I would
there's
love
3
to
rounds.
see that.
There's 3 rounds, right? In the Olympic trials, right? You've got semis. No, sorry. What is it? It's prelims, semis, and then finals. So it's, even if you do try to do the 8, I remember I saw something on, this was more online, but Craig Engels, who I don't think should not be in the conversation, you know, he's also there too. He said he wanted to try and do the double, the 15-800 double. And I think go for it.
6 races.
If you could do it, but that's 6 races. I also think, you know, with the flow, maybe he's got a slipstream that's just going to guide him there. But I think it's a lot of races where experience is going to come to play, and we can't count Matthew out.
Speaking of doubles, did you guys see our girl Parker Valby may double in the 5K, 10K?
At the trials?
For NCAAs or trials?
NCAAs. It was just a headline grab. Just a headline. I just saw the headline, like, considering double. So I don't know, but listen, if anybody can do it, it's our girl. It's our girl Parker.
I think she can do it, and I think she should do it. I feel like that's not a crazy thing at the NCAA level. I think Carissa Schweitzer did it when she was in college. I've seen other people do it, but it is like Parker's just at such a high level that I'm like, yeah, she could probably like win the 10K, not going like absolutely 100%. Save herself a little bit, recover. You have a day of recovery in between, and then come out in the 5K and try to win again. But I guess it also depends which she feels is her absolute A race. Because if you really want to go and like do something amazing in the 5K, maybe it's worth not running the 10K. But I don't know. I also think she can do it, Megan.
Listen, I want to watch her run.
For her. I want to watch her run.
So I want her to
27
run all
laps.
Put her in the 100 meter. Put her in the 800. Put her in all of them. Like I'm gonna watch them. But I'm also like, this girl's running 35 miles a week, and she's gonna double 5K, 10K.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
a good chunk of your weekly mileage in the race. You know,
half her weekly mileage.
See, I'm just more impressed that, you know, Rachel knew the whole breakdown of it, just because I want to be clear, guys, to all of our viewers. Rachel is the only one here that has raced. Well, I was going to say raced collegiately at Hayward Field at Nationals. Megan now has raced at Hayward, finishing her Eugene marathon. I guess I'm the only one left to do that.
You got to go.
Well, I'm going to be out at the Prefontaine Classic next week, guys.
Oh, you are?
I can't promise I'm going to do, I think it's like a media mile or there's something.
Karen.
Sign up for it.
You have to do it.
I thought I need to introduce you to my Eugene friend Lon. He's wonderful. I also have great recommendations on where you got to stay. Oh, I have the whole Eugene rundown for you.
Oh, I'm like the most basic. I'm like coming to Chicago. I like want to see the Bean, want to get deep dish. I'm like, can I see Prees Rock, run on Prees Trail, and go see Hayward Field? Like those are my top 3 things I want to do. All very classic, I think, runner things, but.
Wow, Prefontaine Classic is going to be great. You got to give us the tea on the ground. I'm so excited that we have an on-site reporter to, just take in all the sights and tell us all of the things. But you guys have been thinking, because here in Connecticut, it's getting pretty warm out. Is it getting warm in Chicago?
It's getting toasty, yeah.
So that means like
summer running is here.
Sports bra running weather season, which is my favorite time. I love when you can ditch the long sleeves and you could just run the sports bra. One, it's less to think about. You just you only have to 2 items opposed to, potentially a lot of layers. But it's also a tough time too, because that means sports bra tan lines are pretty substantial. Do you two suffer from this?
I am not someone who tans super easily. But
sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that, but I'm looking at you. I'm like, oh yeah.
You're like, yeah, no, clearly not. But I also, I look like when I'm going for a long run, I look like I'm trying to hide from the paparazzi. I have a hat on, I have sunglasses on, I'm covered in sunscreen.
I'm like, Rachel, it's Karen from the team. And she's like, I don't know who this. Stop. No pictures.
I've never met you a day in my life. No, anytime I'm tan, it is because I use fake tanner. I try not to get tan lines because of you don't want to have the weird sports bra tan lines with a dress, especially if you're going to a wedding, if you're a bridesmaid.
It's tough, guys. For my job, being on camera and hosting all these shows, I'll put this dress on, and all of a sudden, I have a full-on sports bra tan.
Megan, can you take off your white cami? Oh, wait, hold on.
They're we're trying to white balance off your skin, but it's bad, and it really limits what I can wear. So last year, when I was living in Florida, I was I really need to come up with a solution, and so I started doing this. And I don't know if I'm going to do it in Connecticut, because in Florida, you kind of have the luxury of this life where anything goes. You can wear anything anywhere, from the junkiest clothes to the highest end clothes that you can find, and everything goes in Florida, and it's fine. In Connecticut, I feel
you also can drive however you want in Florida. I want to be clear about that.
You can,
because I've been victim of that anyway.
But in Connecticut, it's more uniform, and I feel like people may look at me a little funny, but I bought these strapless, I sent you both a link of it, these strapless Nike bathing suit bandeaus to run in, because it was it still has this, it looks sporty, so it's clear that I'm out here, as an athlete getting after it. But it also would allow me to not get the sports bra tan. But then a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Megan, are you going to have a little wardrobe malfunction?" Well, I'm not, because
I'm are you about to Janet Jackson the whole Connecticut Lake Path?
Westport, Connecticut. I don't live in Westport.
The Connecticut Lake Path.
You guys got a lake out there, right?
Oh yeah. We're right on we're on the Long Island Sound. But I don't know, if you saw someone running with a strapless sports bra, would you have concerns? I need to know, because I need to decide if this is something I'm going to explore this summer.
I wouldn't have concerns for someone else. I would have concerns if I did it. I wouldn't personally do it, but no judgment. That's my take.
Okay.
If you could securely strap in the girls, I think you're working smarter and not harder. I do agree. I think you're setting yourself up for success when you've got to put on that strapless dress and boom, gotcha, no tan lines. So I support it. I just think for me personally, I'm an SPF queen. I am lathering up. I am doing anything possible to not get any tan lines. I think for me with the marathon, and this is more just on a real note, whether it's skin cancer, whether it's, just things that we have to be very careful about being out in the sun that long. I think what I definitely do is we try to run in the morning as much as possible. And I mean 6 a.m. if you've got a long run to do. I am not out in the summer on the lake path past, I think 9:30, maybe 10 a.m. Excuse me. I am not out there, and I won't be. I also do the baggy t-shirt. That's how I do it. So I call it my poor man's altitude camp. I really do heat training. I will put on a big airy baggy t-shirt to avoid the tan lines and to avoid the sun exposure in I think the most serious way possible, which is just covering up. And so that's what I was
better than me. I already have the X on my back from my already, and it is not even June.
It's not even June.
Yeah.
The watch tan line is coming in, which I kind of wear that one with pride. That one is one I'm like, oh, are you going to ask me about how I run? Because I'm wearing my watch? Please ask me.
Do you wear your watch always? Serious
I do
question.
accept him on TV, and I used to wear it on TV, and then I was like, do I look like a dork with it? And everybody was like, a little bit. And I was like, all right, I'll take it off. But I did like it because I like to see my stress levels, and if I get stressed, like when I'm on TV, so I would like always go back and look at the data, be like, was I stressed in seg 1?
Oh my God. Wow. My mom just called. My stress level went up a little bit. No, I'm kidding. I love your mom. But that's so fair. I think people can sleep with the watch. I cannot. I personally I'm like a minimalist. I can have like no jewelry or nothing on. I need to be bare bones. But I will say I've done this as well. Personally, not my taste is to wear the sport watch with like a formal outfit, whether it's a wedding or wearing a dress up, like something you're going out. I personally, there's like the classic meme that's like, take off your Apple Watch at the wedding, you look like a spy kid. And I personally do agree with that, take on it. I think you look like, you're a little too casual in the jewelry in that sense.
My husband tells me I look like a hardo. He's like, you are begging for people to talk to you about running by wearing your watch nonstop. And I'm like, it's fine. I just want to find people I can relate to.
That is a big pro of it. I also am same as Karen, don't ever wear my watch when I'm not actually on a run. And sometimes I don't even wear my watch on a run. But I do kind of like when you're like out in the wild or you're at like a party and you're like, oh, they're wearing a Garmin. Like they're probably training for a marathon. Like, let me ask them about it. So I don't know.
It used to be like when you saw people with like a shoe brand that, only runners would know, like Hoka. Yeah, like Brooks or Hoka for a while, but now Hoka's gotten really trendy. So when you see people with Hoka, you're like, maybe not.
See, I just listen for the orthotic squeak. Anybody else, when someone's walking and I hear a little like, I'm like, oh my God, how's training? Like I already know that you're one of my people. So.
Oh my gosh. Anything else exciting in the running world that you guys have really just been blown away about? I was so pumped 2 weeks ago. There was a running pay-per-view, which that was amazing. It was the Sound Running event. And again, we had women chasing after some and men, I shouldn't exclude the men, but right. But I'm really a supporter of the women. Not that I don't support the men, I do, but big fan of the women's running scene at the moment. $6.99, and it went towards the broadcast and also towards the prize money, which I think is just so awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, just like $5 on a Saturday night or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Making it more accessible. I personally think that is the biggest leap in like viewership is just simply making it so I don't have to buy the free subscription of Apple TV and remember to cancel it 3 months from now, which is what I have to do in order to watch some of the meets that I subscribe to. But just making it accessible, being able to turn on the TV and see a major meet, I think is going to increase viewership and increase interest and engagement in this sport, in women's sports.
Yeah, speaking of engagement in the sport and kind of going back to our fashion conversation, have you guys seen the Emily in Paris commercial with Noah Lyles? I can't stop thinking about how cool this is, that like track and field times like Emily in Paris for the Paris Olympics. We can link the commercial or look up the commercial on YouTube.
It's pretty great. YouTube. Although I think Noah Lyles' fall starts, I'm going to say it right here.
In the commercial, yeah.
Fall starts in, I know it's Hollywood, but I don't care if that's showbiz, baby. He was disqualified in that.
Listen, Karen, I think there are a couple other things in addition to him false starting
that are not realistic. No, I thought that cape was totally realistic.
But I love seeing Noah Lyles in this commercial is like seeing a Garmin in real life. You're like, oh my gosh, running in the real world.
I know, and I love when people ask, like, who is that? I'm like, you don't know who Noah Lyles is? Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's like when you see a celebrity that you know and love, like run the New York Marathon, and you're like, oh my God, they know the straw. It's like seeing people in an environment, or seeing people that you respect and admire in an environment that there's something that I think bridges that gap between just reality and aspirations. But
all right, well, real quick before we wrap things up here, we have a lot to look forward to. Karen is going to be in Hayward Field, going to get to have her Hayward moment during the media mile. We are all counting on you, so please don't let us down. What are you looking forward to most about this Prefontaine Classic?
As the true, middle distance fan that I am so excited for the Bowerman Mile. I'm so excited for the women's 1,500 meter race. Ellie Purrier, I know also just was Mother's Day. I already shit on my mom in this podcast, but shout out to all moms who are amazing. I cannot wait to see moms just kill it. I don't think Kate Grace is going to be there, but she just had an incredible performance in the 800 meter. I think moms are in a moment right now killing it. I'm so excited to see even more incredible performances out there.
And women are having kids and getting faster. I mean, we just talked about Elle. Like, People Magazine did a whole write-up about her being faster after having kids. McKenna Myler's one of my personal favorites. Like, she kicked ass at the Olympic Trials Marathon a couple months postpartum. I believe it was 10 months postpartum. I mean, your guys' former teammate is pregnant right now, Anna Rohr.
Anna
and just ran a
Rohr.
Oh my gosh.
1:15 half
We were
marathon.
joking about on our long run, like LOL, like watch her like, run better than anything we've ever run in our life. And then it was like significantly
And then it happened.
better.
It wasn't a joke.
It wasn't even
Oh
close.
my goodness.
It's to a point where
mean,
I'm like, is that it? Do I need to get pregnant and that's going to turn this all around for me?
I think so. I think that's it. I think all
It's the
three of
mom
us need
strength.
to get pregnant.
Yeah. It's mom strength and it's real. So thank you and shout out to all mothers out there. We couldn't do this without you. You're so important. And shout out to all of our mothers out there.
Well, we appreciate you all for listening to episode 3 of Getting Chicked. We hope you'll tune in for our next episode and we'll recap all things Prefontaine Classic. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.